Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order for tonight, November 27th. And our first case, and just so everybody knows, the hearing is being recorded, both by our secretary so she can make minutes of the case, and also we record the case and it gets put on the cable TV website per the vote at town meeting that all town boards should record their meetings and post them on the town on the cable TV website. So our first case tonight is, let's see, case number on this one. Let's see. I'm not finding what did I do with the cover sheet?
17.
Case number 17? Okay. This is, I should try to find, that's what I'm trying to look for, is the application. A minute here. There we go. All right, this is case number 17. Location of property, 75 Vincent Street Extension. Type of district, residence A2. Type of structure, existing dwelling, proposed shed. Owner's name, Paolo Chamorro and Catherine Gemma Ingamanson. Hope I didn't butcher it too bad. Owner's address, 75 Vincent Street Extension. When did you acquire this property? September 24th, 2021. Has application been filed with town clerk? Yes. Has any previous appeal been made? No. Sections of bylaw of which relief is requested, section 240-6.2a. Reason for asking relief: the property and dwelling are bordered by two streets. In the front of the dwelling is Vincent Street Extension. To the rear of the dwelling is Plymouth Street. The applicant wishes to locate a shed behind the dwelling in the backyard using the rear setback requirements for an accessory building. The Plymouth Street front yard requirement creates a hardship for location of the shed between the existing dwelling and Plymouth Street required setback. The existing topography and utility easement also limits the location of where the shed can be located. This case was advertised in the Whitman Express on November 9th and November 16th. Sitting on the case will be Mr. Kimball, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Chandler, Mr. Blas, and myself, John Goldrosen. At this time, we'll have the reading of the list of abutters, unless I hear a motion to waive the reading. Not.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of the abutters.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Blas. All in favor? Okay, 5-0. Okay, so anybody who's here to speak on this case, not the case we have at 7:30, would you just raise your right hand and take an oath so you can participate in it? Just raise your hand. You're in. Yep. Do you solemnly swear the evidence you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Who's making the presentation on the case? Would you, whoever it is, would you introduce yourself and explain what you want to do?
Yes, my name's Paulo Chamorro. I'm just trying to put a nice shed in the backyard. I have an odd shaped lot, and we try to place it, see if it would fit in any other place with the setbacks, and that's the flattest part where we can put it. And yeah, that's
okay. I'm going to turn to the building inspector and have you explain what the zoning problem is here.
So, Mr. Chairman, he came in before me. He wanted to put this accessory structure up. It's about 340 square feet, and if you look at the plot plan in front of you, he essentially has two frontages, one on Plymouth Street and one on Vincent Street. So it's kind of locked into where he can put it. The accessory use and accessory buildings says it must be in conformance with the front yard requirements, so it's kind of a weird thing. So I thought that he should come before the board and ask for permission, so there was no issues.
Okay.
You can see it does drop about 8 feet from Plymouth Street down to his house, so he does have a very strange topography back there. And in order to put it in the front, it really sticks out because he has that strange front lot.
And the utility easement is, maybe he's not allowed to build on the utility easement?
That's where he chose to place it. I wouldn't suggest he puts it in the easement, no.
That's what I'm saying. If he were to put it in the front, you'd either have to be smack in front of the house, or else you'd be talking about it in the utility easement, which you probably
or to the far right-hand
or
side.
to the far right-hand side, which would
essentially, if you go down Vincent Street, almost look like it's in the front yard of number 156.
Yeah. And is that we don't have the driveways on this plan? Where is the driveway to your house?
The driveway is right here. So this is the garage door.
Okay.
And then it comes like this.
All right, so the driveway is on the right-hand side of his house as you look at it, and the driveway comes around. Does it come around to the side of, does you have a side entrance to the garage, or is it just straight in?
Straight.
Okay.
Kind of straight down.
Okay, all right. So that's your driveway, and that can be in the utility easement, so that's not an issue. And what's shown is 154, 156. Do those front actually on Plymouth Street?
Yeah, according to this, they front on Plymouth Street because
Is that right?
his lot
Okay.
cuts in front of it.
Yeah, that is looks like some kind of right-of-way was left, but it's only 12 feet wide to go out to Plymouth Street on the side of his lot.
From the original house from years ago, before we built our houses, I would assume.
Yes,
Yeah.
like
His house.
You're talking about the little 12-foot.
I think
Yeah, little 12.
He's referencing this little
Yes.
12-foot strip that comes along.
It's just kind of strange, too narrow to be anything but a walkway.
It
So
was a driveway years ago, long before any of us lived there.
okay, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
that's probably to get the lot over 24,000 square feet.
Could be. Could be. So it's kind of small even for that. I can certainly the part along Vincent, the way it sticks out along Vincent Street extension, I can see that to get the lot size, but that 12-foot thing is just kind of strange. Okay. And it's can you just describe the shed? It's a one-story shed, or
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so you won't have any driveway or anything going back to the shed. It's just going to be there, sit there. Okay. And that's actually it slopes downhill to your backyard actually slopes uphill to the shed. Okay. All right. Let me read letters into the record from town boards. Then I'll ask for members of the board if they have any questions, and then we can go out to the public for any comments that you have. So the two letters I have, one from the planning board. At the October 28th, 2023 meeting, the board reviewed the plan for 75 Vincent Street extension. The planning board feels there is no variance required, and the planning board has no issue with the existing shed plan. Adam Somerville, Chairman. And from the Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services. At this time, Whitman Fire Rescue and Emergency Services has no objection to this proposal, provided all applicable fire and building codes are met to include sufficient fire emergency apparatus, access, egress, and water supply. Sincerely, Timothy Clancy, Jr., Chief of the Department. Okay, questions from members of the board? Mr. Kimball?
Is this shed on a port foundation slab, or is it
No, just crushed stone.
crushed stone? No, I have no problems other than the shed's already there. It's kind of an afterthought, but
All right.
that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Andrews?
I have no question.
Yeah. Mr. Chandler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you have any electricity or water, any kind going up?
No.
Okay, that's all I had, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Blas?
Just a quick one. I was going to ask pretty much the same question about the foundation. And I guess maybe this goes to the building commissioner. I thought 240 square feet was the max before you needed a footer.
No, actually, you can have a shallow foundation up to 600 square feet.
You can.
Typically, it has to be engineered, designed.
Yeah.
You can put it on crushed stone and have haunches on the edges. But an accessory structure such as this, if it moves, it's not gonna.
Right. No, and I'm just wondering because when I put mine in, I was told I was limited by the previous building commissioner. I was limited to 200. So I could have had a lot bigger shed than I have now.
600 square feet, you can have a shallow foundation if it's engineered.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. And Mr. Chairman, was there any on the application? I missed it. Was there any previous appeal?
No.
I'm just trying to figure out the frontage. So how did they get make this lot buildable with the frontage of 50 feet?
It's 145 feet.
Oh, okay. So right here, that's
On Vincent Street.
That's the
Yeah,
utility.
his
Okay, that's not-
frontage is on, the easement's part of the lot, so that's why his lot goes, and then that includes that 12
And that's why
foot.
he's going Plymouth Street and he's going
Yeah,
Plymouth Terrace. Okay, I've got it. This is a brand new house, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kamen, you're not sitting on the case? Do you
No,
have
I
any
have
questions?
no questions.
And what was I did have a question I was going to ask and totally. Where you border Plymouth Street, do you have a fence back there or what?
Just a rock wall, and
Okay.
I planted some arborvitaes
Okay.
that should grow, and
All right. So you don't have any access from Plymouth. You don't have any driveway or any intention
No.
of having any access from Plymouth Street. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this is just sort of an oddity of the zoning bylaw. But it's good it's good nonetheless that you have the arborvitaes there then, because that's going to shield the view of the shed from Plymouth Street, which is desirable.
34, so it's like on
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a variance, I mean, the shape of the lot is justification, and also the topography, given that there isn't like a good flat spot. Because I suppose it'd be more convenient if the shed were closer to the house, and you have the utility easement's also an obstacle to. You can't put it just right alongside the house.
Yeah, because the hill and everything.
Yeah. Had you considered putting it alongside the left-hand side of the house?
There's another hill there too.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Right, hill.
Yeah, I don't see any issues with that. Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak in this in the public? Would you just give us your name and address and identify yourself? Anybody wish to speak on this? Okay. You may have an objection.
No objections. No objections.
Okay. It doesn't really affect the neighbors here. Yes. Well, okay, so that's Tobin Terrace over there. I'm gonna say I'd never been down Vincent Street. I don't think ever until I drove down just to take a look and see where the lot was. I thought, well, that's an unusual street. There's two different eras of building. Yeah. When were these houses built?
Just in the last 5 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Yours was 2 years ago.
He's been there 2 years. 3, we've been there 2.5.
Yeah. Okay.
He has the newest house in Whitman.
All the lots were cut very odd. Every single one of them.
Triangular.
Goes into a pie.
Yeah, we had, I
We
remember,
have a drainage ditch, we're 111 Vincent Street. We have the drainage ditch, we lost half our yard. They're all very, Richie Rosen did a number on us, you know what I mean?
well, to fit,
I know you know what I mean.
to meet the requirements. I remember, Rob, we had a case a few years ago where to meet the frontage requirement, not in this development, somewhere else in town, but to meet the frontage requirement, they had like a 3-foot wide strip along the street, to meet the front, and we had nothing in our bylaw. Some towns say it's got to be like the same, same width at the building line as it is at the street.
Our mailbox, like our cluster box on the street is
Yeah.
on his property,
Yeah.
actually. It's
It's
weird.
basically an unusable piece of
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, he's not going to use. You're not going to use it anyway. So.
Yeah.
That's another dream.
But anyway,
Another issue.
our bylaw doesn't allows those kind of games to be played. So yeah. Okay. Anything further from the board? All right, then I'm going to close the hearing. So what's requested is a variance from the actually front setback on Plymouth Street to allow the shed to be built. And as I said, I think the shape of the lot and the topography are grounds for it. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve on those grounds. Is there a second by Mr. Kimball? Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, you're all
Thank
set.
you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Pay some more taxes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here for sure.
I know.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Oh, that's okay. I was only concerned about the 7:30 case. All right, so since we have a little time, we might as well get the minutes taken care of. So we have the minutes for case number 16, 769 Bedford Street, which was the October 23rd meeting where we wound up continuing it, but we did have the minutes for whatever was, as much as was discussed that night. So that is Mr. Andrews, Mr. Curran, Mr. Keeman, Mr. Kimball, and myself on that one.
Bob.
Thanks.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Mr. Andrews, and second by Mr. Kimball. All in favor? Okay.
We have to get this board moving, before it has to stick together.
Excuse me?
And the general minutes for the October 23rd meeting?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Well, it's moved by Mr. Blas, seconded by Mr. Kimball. All in favor? Okay, we're all set on that. So that's taken care of.
We make plans for Christmas party.
So just to go over our schedule too, well, again, I can't get away till 7:30 to start the next meeting. So we have a hearing scheduled, a meeting scheduled on December 11th with 3 new cases on that one. And nothing beyond that at this point.
No.
So
What's that, December 11th?
December 11th. So I'm thinking for January, maybe put off the meeting till like the 4th Monday in January, which would be the 22nd, I think, just to see if any cases come in. And if not, we'll see what we do. We might be anyway in just minutes. And there may be some things that come up before then that we could have a discussion on as well. So,
I'll be around.
okay.
later.
Yeah.
Hands are not set on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could go.
Or you can stick around and,
Yeah.
no, I gotta do work at one.
Yeah.
Early too.
Thank you. John,
Yep.
have you met with the guys up on the top floor yet? Or that
No. Our meeting on the 12th, the day after our next meeting here.
I think you need
I won't really be discussing that with them. It's really the overall budget that would be discussed with them. The folks upstairs said, figure it on a 2.5% increase. Yeah,
How was our spending for 23 versus 22?
Cal has not yet been able to get a report from the treasurer. I want to get that for the meeting. But we've had just about the same number of cases this year. We've had some with continued hearings, so it might be a little bit more actually.
Mr. Chairman, I sent you an email about posting the minutes. Any progress on that?
I haven't gotten to her yet. What did the planning board do?
We're going to follow the zoning board.
Yeah, I'll bring this up, even though it's not on the agenda. It's just for informative or discussion purposes. Mr. Kimball pointed out to me, board, can I have everybody's attention? So Mr. Kimball pointed out to me that when you go to the town website, for each board, there's you can click on to get the agenda for upcoming meetings, and there's a tab to click to get board minutes, and nobody's minutes are posted on the town website. And not just, he said the zoning board's minutes weren't, and then I checked, and none of the boards have their minutes posted.
Who at town hall is responsible?
Well, apparently I'm getting the second hand that the town clerk said it's the responsibility of the boards, but I don't have access to, as a matter of IT and security and everything, we don't have access. So unless the town are willing to give us access, I don't have them. They should be posted. I mean, if we're posting audio recordings, which are difficult to make any sense of, we certainly should be posting the written minutes.
Yes.
So I said I'd follow through with the town administrator, and I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, so they went in today,
We got permits all
get out of the guys last night.
The meeting was
A half hour ago, there was one now she hasn't been forward to the transfer bar. KFC does not take those.
Yes, if you want to get all set up and everything, I have to wait till 7:30 to actually open the meeting, but get yourself set up.
I've got 4 copies of the plans.
Okay.
Per request, so long I leave one.
Yeah, one at each table, and for me, and then give one to the building inspector.
Sir, very good, how are you? Excellent. I'm going to give everybody one of these. That's the same one. Okay. Do that.
Let's see if I can get one. I've got one.
You got one? Yeah, sir. Oh, you do?
I thought you were going to tell me you're in the Army Reserve.
No, it's all built in St. Croix. I got 4 years before it.
So, like,
It's something that may have a chance. I don't know. We're waiting for it to start the camera first. I don't want to actually start, what's going on. The building's over there. I don't know how the fire is.
so you're not Alright, so you don't know if you're going to be here on January 22nd.
I don't know. I think it might be, because I think they want to get us down early in January. So it might be home. From here, and it looks like it might get continued. It may not be here.
Yep.
Make it hard in front of
Yep, okay, yep. Good enough.
One in St. John and one in St. Thomas.
They've been trying to figure it out.
Is that your file?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, how are you? Sorry about being slow. No, you were up against some stuff. Yeah, I apologize. Of course. Yeah, done for it. Yeah. Go like Gary. Maybe secretly, you may be meeting with Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, virtual. Okay. But I said, let me do it because he only reached out to me. No, I like a shadow. I know. I'm tired. It's funny too because I but it was like he had never heard from you before. Like, oh, by the way, I still want to talk to you last week. I'm like, I know. I invited her. Well, I also told her I sent him the cars. In the meantime, you want to traffic, sit in. No, I'll see you. No. And it's, you should find out whether they're productive meeting. That's what we're waiting. So I don't know. So the way they left it out last was they would review it and once internally. So once they're satisfied, they'll send it. So I'm going to put them on Wednesday to find out if he's reviewed it and he's satisfied. Okay. Because the peer review is going to upload it. It's going to take extra weeks. Yeah. You know. But we're on 2 agenda. We're not on Wednesday. I got us off Wednesday. They agree, Stephanie agreed, there's no reason for us on Wednesday night. Oh, great, okay, awesome.
Okay, I'm going to call this hearing to order. So this is the continuation of the hearing for case number 16, 769 Bedford Street. We held the first hearing in this case on September 25th. We continued that hearing to October 23rd, and at that time the applicant asked for a further continuance, so that's why we're here tonight. And the members who were present on September 25th and who will be voting on this case, myself, Mr. Andrews, Mr. Curran, Mr. Keeman, and Mr. Kimball. And Mr. Blas was not present that night, but I'll allow him to participate in the questioning and discussion, but the 5 members I stated will be the voting members tonight, and they are all here tonight, so we're all set with that. I'll turn it over. We continued basically to let you take in what the comments and questions from the board, as well as from the members of the public, from the neighborhood, their concerns, and just let you go back and think it over and see what changes you want to make to your proposal. So I'll turn it over to you. Just identify yourself again for the record and tell us where we are.
Yes, sir.
Was everybody was here for that meeting before previously, right? Okay, I think we're all set.
Excellent. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering. I'm representing Stories Company Whitman LLC, and with me from the applicant tonight is Yash and Davis Patel, and legal counsel is Valerio Romano. So, as you said, Mr. Chairman, the last time we were here, we heard a bunch of comments from the board and a bunch of comments from the abutters, and we did go back to the drawing board. We've met, individually and had conversations with town staff and things like that, and we've really kind of fine-tuned this proposal a little bit. I think we made some definite improvements to it, and I'm sure that you'll agree. I did provide a letter that goes on with the revised plans dated November 25th. It outlines what the major changes to the plans are. So I'm just going to kind of breeze through these one at a time, show you what we've done, and then certainly turn it over to the chairman's direction. First and foremost, in response to some of the comments both from the board and the abutters, we've eliminated the drive-through proposal at this time. So if you recall, we had proposed a quick-serve restaurant at the end cap of the building here. We are still proposing the quick-serve restaurant, but we've eliminated the potential drive-through use from the proposal. I know that there was some concern about noise from the drive-through order boards and lights at all times of the night and things like that, so we killed that. Another thing that we talked about, the dumpster pad was previously located in this position. If I'm in the way and people can't see, just yell at me. Was previously located over here. There was some concern, again, with noise and what time that would be picked up and all of that. So we relocated it further away from the residences on Warren Ave and stuck that guy back over here, which is approximately where we talked about relocating it at the last meeting. At the last meeting, we did talk about, we actually had an excess of parking spaces. So that allowed us a little bit of flexibility. We dropped a few parking spaces to make some improvements to the layout and to give some more buffering to the abutting residential properties and things like that. So previously there were 4 parallel parking spaces here that were approximately 12 feet wide. We were able to drop those and take this whole bank of parking, slide it down this way. That allowed us to increase the buffer between, I believe this is 211 Warren, in the parking area here. There's an existing fence in that location, so we provided notation on the plan that we will either maintain or replace the fence as needed through that location, depending on what kind of shape it's in. Reportedly, it's not in great shape, so we'll evaluate that at the time of construction, and we'll make improvements. The other thing that we're proposing along this line now is we believe we have 9 of the emerald green arborvitaes proposed there. They grow pretty quickly. They'll go in at about 6 feet tall. They grow to 12 or 15 if they're maintained properly. It provides a good visual buffer, but it also helps to soften some noise. Gives a little bit of an acoustic shield to the abutting properties, which is what we're trying to accomplish with that. Just kind of remembering where I am. Okay. This area of the parking was previously shifted this way, and some of these parking lines were overlapping the property line. And there was some town department head comment that it would be much better if we could pull those back and get everything that's supposed to service this building on this property. So we did that. We were able to pull this back a little bit. To do that, this portion of the existing fence is going to have to be either relocated or replaced. But again, it'll be the same material if it's replaced, all of that. And that will continue to provide a visual buffer here and some acoustic buffer. This area of the abutting property is currently all treed at this point. So that is good. The other conversation that we had with fire department is that our previous version of the emergency vehicle truck turn relied on going through the abutting property on this side and then accessing the site. And the reason was because this was tight with the 4 parking stalls here and the drive-through and the drive aisle here. We couldn't come in this way and make this turn. If you look at the sketch that's attached, we corrected that problem. By eliminating these 4 stalls, we were able to make this a wider drive-through so we can have a bigger swing for the truck. We've also cut a few feet out of the landscaped area that we're making between the properties here. So now what you can see, and I don't have the big version, but the town's biggest fire apparatus can come in Warren, loop right around, and right back out and be completely contained on the site, which I think was the goal. In accord with those couple of changes, by dropping the drive-through and making the drive aisles wider, we no longer have to restrict traffic patterns on the site. We were originally proposing that all of this would be one way. It doesn't have to be anymore. We've got adequate distance for people to pass, and in some cases a little bit more adequate because we just needed a little bit more to get the fire department through there. So that is certainly an improvement. With all that said, we are still reducing the amount of impervious surface on the site by, I believe it's almost 2,600 square feet, so we're giving more landscaping than is what is on the site now. That's going to help with stormwater management, getting water back into the ground, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing that we've done beyond that is we are proposing a rooftop collection and infiltration system to collect the stormwater that falls to the rooftop is considered clean. We're going to collect it in some subsurface chambers in the drive-through, with the drive aisle back here. We're going to get that back into the ground. So that's a further improvement to the drainage that's on the site. Just a couple of other small things that we proposed. There was some discussion with department heads about providing wheel stops for the parking bank that is right in front of the building. We've done that. And then lastly, I want to go over to the architectural sheet. There was some discussion at the last meeting. There was a concern with the configuration of the dispensary door, where there was only one door here at the time. The question was raised, well, what if the door's open and kind of closing behind somebody and people aren't paying attention, a potential wrongdoer could sneak in to the floor. So we've actually eliminated that issue. We made it two-way. There's a dedicated in and a dedicated out now. Both of these lock from the outside, so if you're coming in this way, you can't get it. And with that, we just updated also the architecture of the building. This is the front elevation here. You can see basically the same as it was before, but where we have the double door on this one, we don't have the double door on this one too, just to make it look symmetrical. So I believe those are all the improvements that we made to the site layout and the architecture at this time. We did drop some parking stalls. We do still have 2 stalls more than what's required under the bylaw, so we're good there. We haven't changed anything that we're asking for in terms of waivers. In fact, we've actually improved the waivers to some degree because one of them was to do with buffering to a residential property at 211 Warren, which we've made better. So that's where we are. Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to turn it over to you and answer any questions that anybody may have.
Okay. Can you refresh me, besides just needing the special permit and site plan approval, you needed a variance from the front setback, is that right?
In this case, the board, according to your bylaw, has the ability to call it a waiver in this case, rather than a variance.
Right.
Distinction without much of a difference.
Yeah, I think in the past we've just given a variance, and frankly, we've done it frequently. We recognize the reality of what's on the street. Is that the only relief that's needed?
Yeah, I do have a list on the cover sheet. Let me just blast through those real quick. So we're seeking a waiver of strict compliance for the front and rear yard setbacks. That is because, as you know, along this corridor, the front yard setback is 100 feet, and I think there's 2 buildings in town that meet that, and they're both supermarkets.
Right.
Waiver of requirement of a 10...
Yeah, you said the rear setback too, doesn't need any waiver from the rear setback?
No, I believe because this is a front, This is considered
Oh, because
rear.
it's a corner?
Because it's a corner, so
Okay.
they both kind of go hand in hand.
Okay,
Requirement of a 10-foot landscaping strip abutting a public way, which would be here and here, which obviously don't exist now. We are increasing landscaping in this location and in this location.
all right.
Waive requirement for landscape islands, which there are no islands within the site now. But again, we're making some more pervious surface here and here. And as far as stormwater is concerned, that's an improvement, and we're getting the rooftop back into the ground, which doesn't exist now. And the last one is a requirement for a 20-foot buffer strip between residential properties and the site, which if you look here, I believe, you know, I can tell you because it's labeled on the plan.
Looks like you're at 19 feet for the section that has landscaping.
Yeah, we're 19 feet here, so we're 1 foot shy. And then this location here, we obviously can't get because we're trying to pull the parking back on.
Right.
But we are providing a fence for supplemental, and at least right now, this portion is currently forested.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anybody else in your team wants to add? All right. Well, let me go to. Well, I'll just ask one general question. So you have the fencing along the east, I guess, along the Warren Ave, between Warren and next street over.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any separation? And then you have paralleling the building. Yeah, right there. What is the nature of that landscaping going to be?
That right now, part of the conversation that we had with fire is they want the ability to get through there.
Okay.
We had originally talked about maybe doing a fence, maybe putting in some bollards, and certainly fire's here, they can correct me if I say something wrong. What we're planning right now is just probably either a mulch or a grass treatment through there. We are proposing a couple of trees, and there's really an aesthetic thing. One, well, it serves two purposes. One, it's an aesthetic thing. It helps break up the sea of pavement a little bit visually and soften things. The other thing, again, it gives us just a little bit more area that we can get stormwater back into the ground that doesn't exist now. One thing I will say, because I know we talked about this before, we have not proposed curbing around this landscape island.
I wanted you to clarify.
Because everything from this portion of the parking actually flows to a catch basin right here. So if we cut off that flow path with a curb through here, one, it's hard for fire to get over. Two, it impedes the flow path of the drainage. So now we have a whole bigger problem that we need to deal with that currently doesn't exist on the site.
Okay. And so that's why you don't have any separation between the rear parking on the left side there. Yeah, that's no fence or anything.
There's no fence there, no. And to the extent that, right now, this functions as basically one big common parking lot. I think it's our intent that it remains that way. If at some point in the future it's not able to, for whatever reason, maybe these people sell, I don't know. That's why we've made it so that all of our parking is on this property technically, and that the fire truck can stay on this property as well.
Okay. And the last thing I'll bring up, because it may come up anyways, so the access to the dumpster, how will a pickup truck get to the proposed location of the dumpster?
So ideally, they're going to pick up when this place isn't full of cars, right? In which case, they would probably come in off of Warren, they just drive over the parking spaces here, nose in, pull out, and come back out.
Okay.
If there's cars here, it's a little bit trickier, but they can do it. We ran the truck turn. They would still come in, they'd have to nose up, kind of back out this way, nose in, back out again, and come back out.
Okay.
So it's a 3 or 4 point turn if the parking lot is crowded, but generally dump trucks are not picking up during business hours.
But in any event, the amount of backing up they'd have to do would be minimal.
It would be minimal.
Yeah.
The reason we did not take this and put it all the way down here is because of the idea that if there's cars here, now they're going to pick up and they're going to have to back out this whole way. So one, it's a little tricky for the truck. They don't see so well behind themselves unless they have a camera. And two, you're going to listen to that beep for a while longer.
Okay. Okay, let me go to members of the board then for questions, Mr. Kimball? I tell you what, before I do that, let me ask the fire chief and the building inspector their reaction on this too.
I don't have a comment other than the landscaping on the northerly side there. We're not gonna have any curbing around that, right?
We are not
We're gonna have a berm or something to keep washout from going, if you put mulch in there, what's gonna contain it from washing out?
What I would envision here is actually recessing it a little bit.
Okay.
So it's almost like a little trough so that if there's mulch in there, it doesn't topple out. In fact, we could even provide a cross section that specifies that. We could, right down the center line, put a little bowl in this thing type of effect.
Okay.
And that was all based on, we were at the meeting. The meeting you took into consideration. It was just the access to the four sides of the building. And also not to impede any access to the other building to the north.
Yes.
And he's accomplished all that.
Okay. All right, members of the board, Mr. Kimball?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vast improvement.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
I want to make sure that we do have a proper sidewalk along Warren Street.
Yes, let's talk about that. So we had discussed the idea, right now that's a very big curb cut, right?
Yeah.
We had talked about possibly closing that curb cut up. If it does a couple of things, and I'm going to break out my trusty highlighter. If we take this sidewalk and we start extending it this way, okay? Now the fire truck can't get in and take this turn, right? So we've got to leave it open over here. If we go, it's another color this, and so prepared I am today. If we extend the opposite direction and we leave it so the fire truck can come in here, there is a catch basin in the street right here that takes all the flow from this half of the site. Then we cut that off. So on top of that, there is a moratorium on Warren Ave for 5 years because it was just paved. So if we were to do work, in order to install curbing and a sidewalk there, we do need to cut the street, which would be very challenging. So because of those reasons, we did consider it. We chose to leave that curb cut as it is and have that discussion with the board.
Okay. Second thing is, on the parking lot, you got the trees to the east, so to the south side, there's some hatching on can I drive over from Warren Street into those parking spots now?
No, there is a curb here now, there's a vertical granite curb, and there is a chain link fence there. It stops you from driving in. That is only so people don't park there, basically. It's the only reason that's there.
Okay, could we put some type of fence to give a little bit better buffer zone to the neighbors on that side?
What do you guys think?
But, I mean,
Just a fence on the Warren Ave side of the lot.
Maybe replace the chain link
Like
with
with
something
a-
that looks like the fence on
So
the back,
that
bend the corner.
it would prevent people from driving in, even though there's a fence there now, it looks kind of crappy. So that would, so if you have a 6-foot cedar fence or something, it's a noise buffer too.
Yeah.
and light, if there are cars driving in there too, that cuts off the light if there's a...
Yeah, that's true. If you were coming this way to park at night,
Yeah.
and you did have a stockade fence of some sort there, then these folks wouldn't be shining the light in these guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's a benefit. Another thing, you said you want to continue a food service in a better for the left-hand side of the building. I don't know, it's still the purview of the board, but as long as we have a cannabis place, I'd like to have it, no food service there. But if the cannabis place goes at a later date, then we would allow food service. I don't know if we can do that through the request or not. Parking is much better, and I appreciate the vestibule. You did leave the restroom in the open area, so I would just request that it be locked and only can be accessed by a member of the staff.
I think we do that, right? Just make the restroom so you have to basically have it unlocked, is that right?
Sure, the restrooms are fine, yeah. I'd like to chime in on the food service issue though. So my recollection from the last meeting, I know there was some discussion of the concern with the food service. I thought the real opposition was from, sort of the drive-through issue, and we've conceded that point. I think that was the biggest concern from the neighbors.
Could we just stop a second?
Yeah, of course.
Can you tell us what the deed restriction means?
So my understanding is the deed restriction is on a full-on restaurant.
So that's a sit down.
Yes, sit down.
So you could have a sub shop with just to go stuff?
Yeah, and just quick service, right? So some tables, like, like a sub shop or a bagel shop or a coffee shop or just quick service. But we're not proposing a drive-through. We're not proposing a full service restaurant because of the deed restriction. But we do want to keep the, frankly, I mean, even the drive-through is a by right use there, right? So we're, so by completely eliminating any sort of food service, it's really hurting the value of the property. There's a whole bunch of other dispensaries throughout Mass that are near food service. I know it's not exactly Whitman. But so that was our goal, is to concede on the drive-through, not push that point. I mean, basically, we revamped the site. We're doing so many significant improvements over the current status of the site and our first proposal. We were hoping that the board, we could work with the board and at least allow the quick service food at the site, given everything else that we sort of, given in on and just agreed to it at, cost and changing our initial proposal, particularly giving up a by right use at the site,
So
That's okay.
So, yeah, so it would be really primarily a takeout place, but might have a few tables
exactly.
for those people.
It wouldn't be a full-on restaurant. We can't violate the deed restriction. That's what it would be. And we have the parking. I think we're 2 spots over still with the 50-something spots that we need.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
You don't at any point intend to have a liquor serving establishment?
No.
And I don't, under cannabis control, I don't think you can within 500 feet unless you change that.
That's changed. Now the only setback is really K through 12. The CCC doesn't care if you serve booze next door or whatever. But
so I think with the full sit-down restaurant, with the intent of having a liquor serving establishment, pouring establishment, you have no intention.
No, we don't. It's more like, it's like a bagel shop or a sub shop or a coffee shop kind of thing. That just like a quick service food restaurant,
Chinese takeout.
Yeah, Chinese takeout, anything like that. We don't want to sort of limit exactly what it is, but yes, we're not offering beer or wine, or certainly no mixed drinks. No alcohol is in the offing. It's just to continue having, as much use of our property as we can, that's given the fact that we're really trying to work with the board and with the neighbors, and we understood the concerns, and really thought we turned around a proposal that satisfied virtually all of them, hoping that we could have a little give and take on the food service discussion. So that's sort of where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Andrews?
Yes. That black line you're showing at the property line. Good. That black line.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not going to be a fence. When you were here the last time, you were agreeing pretty much to put a fence up.
So we agreed to explore it with the consultation of the fire department and talking to fires here, and they can definitely correct anything. But my understanding from Mr. Dias and the chief was that really, putting an actual fence there would prohibit the fire apparatus from moving through the 2 properties, and they didn't.
According to the site plan that I have here, you show it going around pretty well without even coming close to that.
But I think the fire chief's concern, Mr. Clancy, I'm just calling you for this. Yeah. Your concern is getting over to the Christos property, that you want to be able to.
I went out there on several occasions and took a look at it. If we put in the fence in the bollard where you're suggesting, Mr. Andrews, if that parking lot is full for Christos on the go, it's totally with the other building. If that building is full, we will have difficulty accessing Christos on the go, the doll shop, and the can shop. We'll end up nose to tail, and we won't be able to get, God willing, we don't need to, but we wouldn't be able to get multiple pieces of apparatus.
All right, well, according to the site plan that I have a copy of, it shows that they have them, that's why I was asking. Because last time they were pretty much agreeing to a fence there.
Yeah, I mean, specifically the agreement was to explore it with fire, and if there was no concern with, local public safety, then we would, we would implement it. But it turns out they would like to be able to take their apparatus back and forth between the 2 sites. It's not trying to change things up. It's just, you know, you just heard through fire, so I'll leave it at that.
Now, also along that fence, you're gonna have 3 areas where you're gonna have 2 trees and,
We have 3 trees there, yes.
Right.
Yes.
you're gonna have 2 trees in each one or one?
There's 1, so there'll be a total of 3 trees through that area.
Okay, so that's still gonna stay a green area,
Yep,
and then down at the bottom right corner, you're still gonna have the green area?
yes, that's right.
Okay.
And those don't exist today, so that's just to try to soften the site as much as we can.
So how many feet did we decrease the pervious surface?
2,600.
20, so we've increased pervious area by 2,600 feet.
Now, I thought you said when you first started that you had eliminated any kind of a fast food place.
No,
And now he's saying that.
no, we've eliminated the drive-through. We are proposing to keep the fast food just without the drive-through component.
So people are going to go in there.
People are going to go in there, yes.
I don't think that's any good. On this, A1, this is the ski one, okay. On A1, that's the new interior layout.
The only thing that has changed is the front entrance.
Okay.
Yeah, just the entrance. It's been dedicated in and out.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. And then on A2,
Yes,
that would be the rear where the people come out, is that right?
this is, up top is the front. That's facing Bedford Street.
You're right, no, I'm going on A2.
Oh, A2, I'm sorry. My mistake.
All right. Does that top one that's facing the east?
Yes, this would be facing the back, it's the back of the building, opposite
All right,
Bedford
so
Street.
that's going to be all solid and there's 3 exits.
Yes.
And that's just, is that for the public or is that just for the employees?
Employees only and deliveries. That will be, you know, back at shop for all 3 of these units, no public access.
All right. And the north elevation doesn't have any exit at all?
The north, no, it does not.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. The sides have no egress, it's front and back.
And all, on the south elevation, there's no windows or doors on that? or anything?
That is correct.
All right, I think that's everything. I'm not very happy about you having the food place, so. I'd like to see
And so,
that eliminated.
if I could just chime in again about, not to belabor it, well, I know I wasn't available to meet, but I know you sat down with the chair and had some discussion. It seemed like, you know, the initial concerns with the quick service food were alleviated some by the general overall changes of what we're proposing to sort of satisfy virtually every other thing we could do that came from comment from the board and from the audience. So I don't know if there's a specific issue with the fact that we also be serving food there. I mean, the cannabis use is essentially a retail use, and this is on Bedford Street where the food use is essentially a by right use. We're not really asking to do something super unusual there. I don't know what the additional concern is. I totally get what the outcry is of adding another drive-through place when you're a resident nearby. You don't necessarily want that. I can get that, but having the quick service restaurant, it's by right use. Cannabis use is retail. They go really well together. We're not having any on-site consumption. We're not cultivating. We're not processing.
You're not going to have any on-site consumption?
Of cannabis. Yeah.
You're talking about.
I mean, it's just another retail shop next to a sub shop. I mean, they go really. I mean, it's.
Now, are you going to serve any kind of alcohol?
No alcohol.
So it's just going to be regular?
It's like a sub shop, coffee shop, bagel shop, that sort of thing.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I'll just jump in because I'd raised this issue last time, and my concern was on-site consumption without it being allowed. That if it was enough of a sit-down place, people would buy their marijuana. It's more things like tinctures or edibles or things like that, not smoking, but something that they could go hang out with a bunch of folks and add it to the food that they buy. That was my concern. But I think the kind of primarily takeout operation you're talking about, my concerns alleviated by that.
Good to hear.
Maybe if we put a condition that any food service there is not to have an alcohol license, which isn't your intent anyway, I think that would, address that too. Again, it's
That's not our goal.
we don't want to be mixing alcohol and marijuana. So if you were proposing to put a liquor store next door to the marijuana store, I think we might have some issues. So so I think what you're describing. I realize the drive-through is more. I was certainly concerned about that, but that was more of the impact on the neighbors. But as long as it's not really a sit-down place, and that's not the intent that people are going to hang out there much, I can live with that. I think that alleviates my concern. Okay, back to the board. Mr. Andrews, did you have anything further? Okay, Mr. Curran?
I have no problem with the rest of the food service being next door. I think the deed restriction keeps them from allowing them to have tables and chairs. My big concern is the engineering part of it, the on-site drainage. If I were to hire a consulting engineer about drainage on this site, would they be okay with what you've come up with?
Absolutely. So the way this works, this is what's considered a redevelopment site, okay? The Massachusetts Stormwater Management Standards have 10 standards. A redevelopment site requires those standards to be met to the greatest extent practicable. Okay, number one is no discharge to a wetland. No wetland here. Good. Number two is peak rate attenuation, which means you can't send more water to any point in the post condition as goes there in the existing condition. I can run the numbers all day long, but the basic tenet is this. When you reduce impervious surfaces and unplug that from the equation, you get more water into the ground, so you reduce flows. Add to that the idea that we're taking away this section and putting that back into the ground. Number three is groundwater recharge. There's no groundwater recharge capability on this site now. When we add this rooftop here in the existing impervious, we fix that problem. We get groundwater recharge that doesn't exist today. 4 is water quality. Again, reduction of impervious, recharge, improves water quality. Number 5 is what's considered a LUPL, which is basically a fleet of cars or a certain number of traffic trips a day. This doesn't make it. Number 6 is critical areas, a zone 2 water supply, something like this. That's not in here. Number 7 talks explicitly about what a redevelopment project is. It's any redevelopment that does not increase impervious surface. So we're good on that one. Number 8 is an operations and maintenance plan, which we will produce for the stormwater system that just tells you how often it needs to be checked and what to check for. Number 9 is an erosion control plan, which we have included in the set. And number 10 is an illicit discharge statement, which we can also provide. It's just a letter, layman's terms, says I'm not going to dump chemicals in the drainage system, and the owner signs that to acknowledge it, and the building department can hang on to it in the file. That's all 10.
That's all I have.
Okay, let me just jump in on that, on this stormwater thing. So, a couple of questions. There aren't actually any catch basins on your property, is that right?
Yeah, oddly, there are no catch basins on this property itself. There's one located here that basically takes everything here and this half of the site, and there's one located right here that takes the rest of the site.
Yeah. And is there one out on Bedford Street?
There is not one. The closest one on Bedford Street is at the corner here, but that really, I mean, this is kind of a high spot. It might take a little bit of this, but not much. And the next one is located here at the entrance of this facility.
Okay. So I guess my question would be, are you, first of all, again maybe, and as much for the benefit of the neighbors as for us, just explain what portions of the property go to which catch basin again.
So basically, I'll just scribble on this real quick. So everything from here through here is going to that catch basin.
Okay.
Everything roughly from here and around to, I'm going to say here, is going to this catch basin.
Okay.
This flows behind the building, which we're not changing and we're not increasing impervious area through there. And this little ticket here goes that way.
Okay.
And we're
so
maintaining those drainage patterns.
that was going to be my next question.
not
You're
altering
not,
anything.
you know, in your regrading of it and everything, you're not going to change
No, the
drainage patterns
grading-
from what we have now.
No, the grading was done intentionally to match those patterns.
Okay.
What I don't want to do is if this portion of the site drains here now, I don't want to send it this way, because then I run the risk of having a ponding situation on Warren Ave, which nobody wants.
Okay. And the operation maintenance plan that you mentioned, that's like the schedule for sweeping the...
Sweeping the site, checking the catch basins.
But that was going to be my question. Since the catch basins aren't on your property, do you have any responsibility? Particularly, I'm thinking the one on the street. You know, that's the town's
Right.
right. But the one on Christo's property,
Technically, we don't legally have a responsibility. It would be the owner's responsibility, but to the extent that we can all be neighborly, I don't think it hurts for us to just take a peek in it. I mean, really, you check these things twice a year. If they're you have a 4-foot sump. If that sump is about half full or there's any structural defects, you address it. The bigger thing that the operation and maintenance plan will cover is how to handle this underground system.
Right.
It's going to have an inspection port on it. There's clean outs on either side. It's got downspout, overflows, things like that. So we check all of that stuff for any signs of accumulation of sediments or ponding or things like that a couple times a year right after a storm to make sure that it's dry within 72 hours. That's what we're looking for.
right? And your erosion sediment control plan, which is for the construction period,
Yes.
that would include protecting the catch basins from having dirt flowing into them while you're...
Yes, it does. So the first thing we do before we break ground is we've noted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 catch basins that all get inlet protection. They're usually yellow, those silt sacks that you see. Those are going in before we do anything. That's step number 1. Then we lay down some barrier controls around the perimeter with the down gradient side so everything stays on site. Then we start breaking up pavement as necessary, things like that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Curran, did you have anything?
I'm finished.
Okay. Mr. Blas?
No, your question was exactly what I was going to ask, so thank you. In front there, the green area along Bedford Street, now that, you had said that's the kind of like the high spot in the front there?
There's almost like a little mound through here now. There's a planter in this location, maybe a little bit of a mound that maybe sheds a little water this way and a little that way. It's insignificant, whatever.
Well, I guess my concern was, again, the landscape, and you do landscape and then you get rain. What's gonna prevent from whatever you got in there for landscaping, either washing out onto Bedford Street or washing out into the other parking spaces?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'd rather have it in the parking spaces than on Bedford Street if I had to pick one, but I don't really want them either. The way this is graded now, this is a high point. I think we can do the same thing that we're proposing here to have it recessed a little bit and just drop that in, maybe 6 inches. So what that does too is it almost creates a bowl so that when stormwater falls there, it'll sit there until it sinks into the ground. We'll get a little bit more recharge out of those areas at the same time. And then that'll stop things from overflowing and piling out and things like that.
So right now that is paved, correct?
Right now that's big, yeah.
So they'll jackhammer that out or do whatever you do, cut the asphalt.
Yep, so I'll cut it all out of there.
And most of the asphalt on the site now will remain the way it is?
Most of it's coming out. If you go to...
Coming out and you're gonna repave it?
We're gonna have to redo it, yeah. If you look at this line, dashed line that you see through here, everything through here has gotta go in order for us to accomplish this work. So that's coming out, gonna be new. We're also gonna be saw cutting along here, so this is coming out.
Yeah.
And then, while we're doing so much, at the time of construction, we'll evaluate what remains.
So you might as well replace the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in
Do it
decent
right.
shape and we can seal coat it and stripe it, fantastic. If it's garbage and structurally unsound, we'll address it.
And did I read that you are gonna put some stops in for the cars in front of the building?
Yes, along this parking bank here, we're gonna do individual concrete wheel stops. Just in addition to the curb, there is a 6-inch curb here. There's actually a ramp in this location here.
So there's like a little sidewalk in front of the building?
5 foot sidewalk, yes.
5 foot.
5, maybe 6.
Oh, in the front of the building is 6?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's gonna be elevated 6 inches?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll have curb stops in addition to
In
that.
addition to that, okay, so I guess you wouldn't need bollards because
They do the same thing, they just look a little nicer.
any kind of protection on the left or right side of the building?
We have wide enough drive aisles that I don't think we need it. In fact, on this side, we have a 5 foot sidewalk. Idea being that if somebody was to park back here, they would basically take this sidewalk and come around. I mean, we got a 30-foot wide drive aisle here, so it's not tight. I don't think it's necessary to drop a bollard on the corners.
Okay, that's fine. And then just one last question. The status of the actual marijuana establishment and license and all that sort of thing, has that been finalized yet?
So we have the host community agreement. We've submitted to the Cannabis Control Commission. We're working through the licensing process there.
Yeah, and just to give you an update on that, we were given a provisional license by the CCC about 4 weeks ago.
So we can't get a final license or get anyone near opening until they do the final inspection of our completely constructed facility. So we don't have a license to start selling cannabis.
So, I mean, you'll have to come back then? Don't we have, I mean, that's what we've done with the other ones.
Yeah, well, we did because the way our bylaw is written, it says you must have final approval from the state before you can get your special permit. But the state says you can't get final approval from the state until you have your special permit. So the way we addressed it in the other 2 cases was we made our approval, one of the conditions of approval is they must get state approval. And we felt that sufficiently meets the requirement of the town.
So in the decision tonight, does that include the decision tonight along with the building? Does that also include our board approval of the request for the marijuana establishment?
Right, because we're giving them site plan approval and the special permit for the marijuana establishment.
But we can't open until we have.
No, I understand that. So
Yeah,
the last
submitted to
meeting, the first meeting, you guys, the members of the board, you thoroughly dissected the interior of the building for all of the.
Yeah, and they made that, the one issue we had was with the doorway, and they've addressed that.
All right, so, okay, no other questions, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Keeman?
My only concern is utilities.
Yes,
You having gas?
yes.
Electric coming in?
We do. Let me go over here. And this is actually a conversation that I had with the highway department because of the moratorium on Warren Ave. So, right now, sewer comes in on Warren Ave. We're gonna cut it on our side of the property line and connect to that. Because we can't touch Warren. He made it very clear, you're never getting a trench on Warren Ave for the next 5 years. We have a utility pole right here. We're gonna pull off of that for electric. We have a gas shutoff that exists on the site right here. We're gonna pull off of that for gas. And then water. The water service is actually on our side of the property line, right next to the utility pole. So I'll pull everything there. Right now, I've got a mechanical room right back there that everything's gonna pretty much run to.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have to finalize those once we have approvals and know that we can go that far with our mechanical team and things like that.
So my only concern is gas meters, electric meters.
Yep.
Outside, or
Whatever the utility agency requires, I think is what we'll end up doing.
Because if you're gonna have them on the outside, down either side of that building, then you will have to have some sort of a bollard to protect those.
Yeah,
You know,
especially if they
going
come
down that
in.
side there.
Yeah, if they come in here on the back, they'll be in a concrete walkway area, so it'll actually be easier to put bollards around them, or even a cage.
I mean, I think ideally, the best spot to have your meters and everything else would be the back of the building.
Yep.
You got more room back there.
Agreed. Plus, it just looks nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my only concern was, making sure that they're protected wherever they end up.
Sure.
And as far as the food, I have no problem with that at all. Whether they go here, next door, or walk 30 feet and get a pizza?
We need to talk in the place.
Well, one thing I'll say,
Never enough talking.
one thing I'll say to your point, sir, and I think I had this conversation with the chairman before, is that these places have been open for a while, right? So we have data now. And what the data is showing that when one of these places moves into the neighborhood, illicit activities move out because there's so much security, everybody knows that they're on camera. So if I wanted, or some, I'm not gonna say if somebody wanted to do something they weren't supposed to do, you're more likely to go off-site than you are to walk over here when you're still on camera and do something there, right? I mean, there's always enough that you can't account for, but.
Well, you can't fix stupid, so.
Yeah, there's that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Kimball.
I haven't seen.
Is the electrical going to be underground from the pole to the building?
That is the intention, yes.
Okay, because it just looks bad and the fire truck has problems with overhead.
Yes, unless for some reason the utility company tells us different, which I would be shocked about, we're going on the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Kimball?
Mr. Blunt is part of what? Lighting on the outside of the building?
So the only thing that right now on the site, there are pole lights on the utility poles. We're not supposed to change those, and I think this is a conversation we had at the last meeting. I believe, and I don't want to speak for the neighbors, but we don't need this place any brighter than it is right now. We will have some lights, some downward-facing lights, all with the service doors on the back, and probably, obviously, in the front, but they'll be downward-facing. Nothing that's going to cast light off the property or anything like that.
That's all I can suggest.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask about the lighting on the site, because I think, again, that you said our feeling was obviously what you need for security around the building you've got to have, but in terms of that rear parking lot, that if it's, minimal to, again, meet security requirements, but not to be shining on neighboring properties at all. So, if there are pole lighting there that's really not needed or is kind of garish and can be replaced with something else, more downward facing lights,
That's something we can take a look at. One of the issues that we run into historically with that, quite honestly, is finding out who owns the lights. We've run into one on another project where we don't know if it's Mass DOT or if it's the town or who it is, but to the extent that something needs to be done, we can find out.
Yeah, even though the poles are on your property?
They did weird things way back when, and it really depends on who's
There might be
paying for
some,
it.
they might have had some easement.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
never ceases to amaze me.
okay. Well, I think I guess the message would just, and even if they have to stay, if they can at least take a look at them to make sure they're shining away from the neighboring properties.
Sure, we can definitely.
I'll leave it to the neighbors to discuss if that's even an issue, but I'm just bringing that up.
That's the nice thing about the pole lights along the back perimeter.
Yeah,
Everything's facing completely
Right,
away from
right.
residential houses.
yeah. Are you gonna put any additional lights in the rear that are just lower height and shining down?
At this time, we're not anticipating anything.
Okay.
If for some reason we found it to be deficient and we needed to for security purposes, I think we commit that anything we would do would be LED, dark sky compliant, no foot candles at the property line.
Right.
Those are your three basic tenets when it comes to lighting the site.
Okay. Other than that, I think I agree with Mr. Kimball to have the existing chain link fence along Warren Ave be replaced with some kind of wooden or opaque fence that would look nicer, and that chain link fence isn't going to last forever anyway. You might as well go ahead and do it right, and that will shield the neighbors from lights. So any cross-hatched area here just means it would be striped as no parking.
That's right, just
It's
striped.
not landscaping, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you've pulled the parking on that left rear corner off of the Christos property, because right now everybody's getting along and they share the parking and all that, but there's nothing saying that ultimately somebody might buy the Christos property, decide to redevelop it, knock down what's there, put a fence around it, and and even if that was a problem for the fire department, you couldn't really say they'd have to come up with internal circulation or whatever. But I think it's just much better to have the situation clean than to have any parking overlapping one property onto the other.
With neighbors and hopefully everybody gets along, but
It just cleans up the site.
Yeah, it cleans up the site, and like I say, you don't know for the future what might happen with the Christos property. It's not even a matter of people no longer getting along, it's just a change.
Yeah.
There could be a change in use. The mulching and, trees along the border with the Christos property, given, what the fire chief has said, I think that one of our reasons for asking for that was just to create some kind of barrier between, a candy store and marijuana establishment, and it's no longer free flowing as is the situation today. You've at least, I think, created a barrier there that's sufficient to satisfy me. So I think you've addressed things. I want to go out, what I want to do is go out to the public. There are a bunch of conditions that we've put on the other marijuana properties that I want to go over with you. But let me first go out to the public.
Chairman,
Yes, yes.
I think this board should let the applicant know, because of the spot that this is in and the amount of pavement you're taking out, that they should be responsible for any siltation runoff that goes on a Bedford Street, Warren Street, that you're gonna be necessary to clean up.
During construction.
During construction.
Right.
Dust control, if you're working during the summer, the neighbors don't need their cars full of dust and things along those lines. So just be aware, I think the board.
And that has to be part of their your construction control plan. Don't you need, are you big enough to need to provide I know what you call it, but a sediment control plan during construction? Are you required to do
The
that?
NIFTY's construction permit, we are just under the threshold for the NIFTY's construction permit, so we don't technically need the SWIP. But we've incorporated a lot of the same stuff here.
Okay.
So certainly, and I'm looking for a quick, I generally include notation that says that the streets, contractor to make every effort to keep the vehicular traveled way as clean as possible, and shall sweep and remove all debris daily at minimum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Dust control will be by water only, no chemical.
Just so when I get the phone calls and I call
You call me.
hey, remember,
We said we would keep it clean.
So is that, since it's on the plan, it's part of the
Yes.
site plan that we'd be approving, so is that sufficient for you?
that's fine.
Okay, and are you sufficient, are you okay with how they've described doing these landscaping areas in terms of preventing erosion? Is that something you can work with them on?
As long as, like I said, I know we're gonna do the best we can, we're gonna put a divot in there. But, remember, if we get heavy storms, mulch floats, it will flow out. Maybe you think about stone or something. I think we need to just make sure that we're not taking the stuff we're putting in and putting it on the street.
I agree completely. Just a waste of money at that point too.
Okay. All right, I want to go out to members of the public and ask for your comments and questions. So just raise your hand, give us your name and address. Yes, sir. Right.
Three things. I'll be real quick.
Give us your name and address.
Lou McDonald, 205 Warren Ave.
Thank you.
I believe the abutting property is at 240, right? I'm the one next to it, so I'm not abutting the property. But just so you know, that fence, all that fence area, abutting their property, the backwoods, and Warren Ave, are junk. All right? When James put in the fence, it constantly fell apart. The homeowner, the day before them, had it into repairs because the place was closed. And the fence out back is junk. So they're absolute junk. Just like, I'm sure I know. Now the rear of the building, you got 3 entrances to 3 units. No gating around that, no protection from the parking lot, because there's lots of deliveries. And I mean, I'm not really worried about sub shop or another place, but a cannabis dispensary, that's an open door.
Well, they don't just get to come in that way. First of all, our vault where the cannabis will be stored will be locked and separately segregated. But they also don't just get to open the door. They have to check in the front and get badged and then get escorted by one of our agents.
But even places like Dunkin' Donuts, they have a barrier there that separates that door from the general public sometimes. When people
Sometimes. I'm thinking about the Dunkin' in my neighborhood. It doesn't. But yeah, sometimes. But,
I'm just surprised. that there's no barrier there.
Yeah, but it's not like somebody's just gonna knock on the door and open up and just be, access to the vault. Yeah, it's camera, and they actually have to come and let us know they're there and actually get checked in and get badged and escorted by one of our people the whole time. So it's not just free for all delivery.
It's still an open door.
Yeah, it's an open door. Yeah.
Well, even if somebody just wanted to rob another place, at the end store, say, they could easily access that when they open that door. There's no buffer in order to get in. Right? I think right now, wherever they make deliveries to the old Jamie's, there's buffer gates and buffer fences.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, through the chair, this door back here where we would receive deliveries for is key card access and locked at all times. And before you can even open this door, somebody has to come out this way, check in, and then we'll come out and open it. So it's controlled, there's people there.
No, I get it. But again, I'm used to seeing a buffer there, something that's...
There
is a sidewalk there, right?
Yeah, 10-foot sidewalk, yes.
On the back of the building?
Yes, there is.
So there's room for a fence go around that. It's more security for a fence. I didn't see it there, so I'm asking about it.
There's actually, you can fill me in, I know some of the regulations for the marijuana establishments set up by the state actually limit like landscaping around the rear and fencing and so forth, so that the concern is that people could use that to hide.
They don't want to have any.
So they actually want it more open than you might think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's got that.
Yeah. Some of these dispensaries are actually in office buildings and walk-ups, right? They're not, it's just a regular retail use. But here we do, as Eric explained, we do have, if somebody wanted to come and make a delivery, let's say they were delivering, boxes of something, but even non-cannabis, whatever, it's a delivery, but they had to come in and wheel it in. They would have to come around, get a badge, get signed in, and then be escorted by one of our agents the whole time and be under camera.
Understood.
Yeah.
That's not going to prevent somebody jumping in. No.
Yeah.
So I think there should be a buffer. That's not going to be up to me. And third, I'm just curious. So you have a cannabis dispensary, some type of a food is. What kind of a tenant do you plan on having for the third unit? Do you have any ideas?
We haven't really
Had anyone approach you about it?
I mean, people have approached, but it's very hard to commit without knowing what's going to be approved.
Yeah.
But it could be
What would be your ideal tenant to go in there?
anything with decent foot traffic, from like a shop owner.
A shop owner.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. My brain's turning as I'm sitting here. Obviously not a food service,
Right. Yeah.
but an office. But you may have trouble renting an office with a weed dispensary.
It should be retail, whatever.
From the end.
Yeah.
Fingernail.
Yeah.
We have a lot of traffic.
That's an option. That's an option.
They never go broke.
They never go.
Oh, yeah?
Always
Okay.
busy.
Good to know that.
That was the only questions I had.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, sir. Again,
I have.
go ahead. Your name and address.
Roberta Manetta, 214 Warren Ave. I just have a question because I remember this at the first meeting. All traffic for your shop was coming in off of 18, is that correctly? You're doing a circle around? I guess then I'm asking, is the only people that can use Warren Ave, the emergency vehicles, is that correct?
That is not restricted at this time.
Okay, 'cause that, I think was how it was described at first.
Originally, when we were proposing the drive-through here, we weren't able to circulate all the way around because of the traffic patterns associated with the drive-through. But because we eliminated that and we widened these for the traffic truck, we don't have a reason to restrict two-way flow through the site at this point. We will certainly be encouraging traffic to use Bedford Street primarily, but there would,
I have a concern with the section there from that parking entrance up to, and being there up to 18, which I mentioned before, how many times, actually I blew a tire out in the corner up on 18, the way they reconstructed that, because some lady in her Crown Victoria came wildly around the corner, and I had to go over to the curb, and I blew a tire last week. So I'm concerned with the traffic pattern right there in that small space right there. I don't know if we can make a right turn only.
basically right here.
from
Yeah.
your entrance there on Warren Ave up to Bedford Street.
So from here to here.
Yeah.
Basically where they put in the new sidewalk.
Yeah, I
that stretch.
actually, to be honest with you, I blew 2 tires on that curb up there. I blew one of my Jeep Wrangler a few years ago. I don't know what they did up there, but yes, I'm concerned with the way, and with the car wash. I'm concerned with that amount of traffic right there on that, from there to there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
everybody is.
Yeah, if we should make it a one-way some way, if everyone has to take a right, a left, it's just too much right there.
You know, Hoppin, I thought a lot about everything that was said last time about the car wash. I mean, first of all, obviously the people from the car wash have been parking on Jamie's. That's gonna stop
And
because
today,
they're gonna be.
and we have a lot of our car salespeople that take pictures over there and wash their car. Today, they're out in front of my neighbor's house for a half-hour detailing, taking pictures of the car, and that's a big thing right there,
Yeah.
too.
You know, the only thing I can, well, there's a couple of things. First of all, about a year ago, we approved another car wash
I heard.
down on Bedford Street, like near Route 14.
Same owner.
Right, but a different kind of, it's a much deeper property, there's much more room for people to pull it, like a long queuing lane.
Yeah.
And they haven't been, have they come in for any permits yet?
Yeah, they're just starting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
they
hope
were
is when
having
that
a
is.
problem with water, right?
What's that?
They were having a problem getting water.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I think that.
So
this-
my hope is when that's built, it's
Well, he
gonna,
needs to put his towels back there so people can drive their car, and these car dealerships need to take their car back to their own lot and take their pictures and clean their
Yeah,
car.
well, I was
Stay
gonna-
away from the houses.
what I was gonna say is that once if that place opens,
Wow.
I think it's gonna take business away from this
Well, I
location.
hope so, because like I said, they were parked in front of Dave's house
Yeah.
today, cleaning the car,
Yeah.
taking the pictures. I'm like,
But-
really?
Yeah, once the new
It-
building goes in on the other corner where Jamie's was, that's gonna change all of that.
Yeah, but also I
The
think,
parking's open, it might not, they'll just go
yeah,
in there and still.
you know, I think, you know, in terms of people from the car wash parking along Warren Ave, I mean, I would just encourage you to, you know, think about any kind of regulation of, like, you know, having a no parking zone from here to the corner or something like that on Warren Ave. Okay, well, that would have to be something the selectmen do, but if you think it's something
Yeah.
that is desirable for
I
your
wrote to the
neighborhood.
state about the way they reconstructed that intersection up there. 3 lanes, you can't get out, people don't stay in
Yeah.
their lane until they're supposed to go left, you're head on into people. I wrote to the state, never heard back from
Yeah,
them.
no.
I can't even go out that way during the day, I have to go up this way.
So you go out Rock Street?
No, I live right across from Jamie's parking lot, so I go
I would
up
go
that
up Rock
first
Street,
street.
come up.
No, I don't live
You can't.
there, I go to that first street.
You gotta go up to
which is
Willard
Willard or
Street.
something.
You get out of the
I go up
18
to
because it's all
Willard.
jam.
Yeah.
When you guys, when the town said, oh, we'll put a car wash in, they're gonna have somebody there all the time, it never happens no more, they're gone.
Okay, ma'am, did anything else?
I'm all set. No,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
good.
Yes, give your
Okay.
name and address, please.
My name's Jimmy Callahan, I live at 230 Warren Ave.
Thank you.
If I could walk up here and...
Yeah,
All right, so the fence ends right about where, right here now? Where's the fence? I'm right here. My house is here, the car wash is here. No fence, no nothing. Everything comes out in front of my house, as you can see. And the car wash is here. Now, this was taken 2 days ago. Where's the people taking care of the car wash, I would like to know. And how's anybody coming down Warren Ave? 2 days ago, I was standing there.
Jimmy, that's a police issue.
No, it's an issue that the town gave a permit to the guy with.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, it doesn't.
If you call the cops, by the time the cops come, the car goes in, they say the car's not there. We call constantly.
And I remember all the complaints I got when I was.
Right, so what I'm saying is, now you're gonna be dumping, drive around traffic from here,
Yeah, no,
here,
this is
back
gonna-
up to Warren Ave again.
This is gonna organize all that.
No, it's
Just-
not.
Just
No, they're
having
gonna be
the building
parked on the
occupied.
street.
All right, you guys already made your mind up anyway, so whatever we say is gonna.
So what are you saying, we don't put anything in there?
No, I'm saying you put something in there, put a fence down here and make them come in and
You're
around
gonna
this
get
way.
people killed coming.
but the problem is, as you've heard, it's a problem for the fire department.
This isn't wide enough for a fire truck to come through? 28 feet wide for a fire truck to come through and come around?
It's a problem for
It
the fire
absolutely is.
department, and it's a problem for the location of the catch basin.
The catch basin's underground back here.
No,
They're not
there's
gonna
a
hit it.
catch basin on Warren Ave.
The catch basin Warren Ave is right here at the end of my house. In between her property is a catch basin right there, goes down and separates our property. And there's one up here in the corner. So there's a catch basin here and here. And then there's a fire hydrant somewhere, I think, over here.
Across the street.
Across from your house, right?
Across from the catch basin.
So this is wide enough. It's 29.5 feet wide. If you can't get a truck down there, you can drive a Mack truck down
What do
there.
you suggest, you put a 6-foot fence there?
All the way down, stop the traffic.
That's absolutely, that's crazy. It's
So now
highway
you're just gonna make a
business.
cluster here.
It's highway business, you gotta have
That's,
that.
it's highway business here. This is residential here.
No, you're in highway business.
This is residential. We all live, we just got told we're all residential, that our taxes go to 28% because they're putting a new school and a new DPW. So, on top of us going to 28%, we've got to deal with more traffic coming out here onto Warren Ave and screwing this up. When I come out of my driveway, how am I gonna go?
Yeah, no, I know you have problems.
Exactly. One other question I have for you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Can we address the hours of operation one more time?
I was going to get to that,
Because-
but like I said, I wanted to let you all.
Right.
say
I had gone, the last time I was here, and we actually all talked, I had gone to the Board of Selectmen the next day. And I asked them, I said, "Are you guys okay the hours of operation?" And the lady told me outright, the only thing that they okayed for that site was a permit to sell pot. Period.
Well,
No restaurant permit. I said, "Did they authorize a restaurant permit?" She said, "If they're gonna have a restaurant there, they have to come back to the Board of Selectmen to have a restaurant. They can't have a restaurant." The only thing that they got, they had no hours of operation that was set by you guys. I was like, well, there's no need of them opening at 7 in the morning and residential people.
In their host agreement.
Yeah, what the host community agreement said 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., I believe.
It's within what
Unless we, we can make it less, but that the selectmen did give that window.
I asked them outright, she said no. And I asked them where the meeting was that we could have a host agreement on it. I said, because I'd like to know.
Yeah, they've already done the host community agreement, so.
No, of course.
But again, we can limit it, and we
Right.
will
And I understand
we
that.
will discuss that.
And like I say, we gotta do something when they start tearing it down about any pests that may be in there, because you know it was a restaurant, you know it's gonna be loaded. So that's gonna be taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be loaded, it's gonna be taken care of. And as them guys getting a restaurant in there, I understand, from what I hear around town, it's gonna be a Starbucks coffee shop, was the last time I heard. Which is close to Dunkies, whatever. I mean, crazy to put a coffee shop, area, a donut shop, or restaurant into that area when you got 2 other places that close.
Do you want to bring us to Starbucks? Because that's news to us.
Well, that's what they
If you have a Starbucks for us, we're certainly willing to entertain it.
There you go.
All right, folks.
But, I'm just saying, that's gonna be causing a cluster, and right now, the police don't come down, they come a half hour, 45 minutes later, what do you call them? Because they're like, we are so tired of this shit. They don't mean my name down there, because I call all the time, because I can't get out of my driveway. And if I try to get out, you tell the customers at the car wash, can you move, I gotta get out? No, I'm in line. What do you mean you're in line? I gotta get out of my driveway, I don't care if you're in line or not. And it's the car wash that causes the problem. And not only that, and they were saying earlier that nobody goes in their parking lot. And I just want to show you guys. This is
No, I
what
don't
they-
think they're saying nobody goes there now. I'm saying
This is what they
that-
do every day over there
what
to
I'm
clean the
saying
cars.
is,
Yeah.
once there's a business here, and not
Oh, they're still gonna
essentially a
go, they're
vacant
gonna go out
lot,
back. Are you kidding me? There's nobody gonna be there?
then you won't have the car wash people parking.
I'm just saying, I don't believe that they should be open, I think they should be open.
Folks, quiet please.
I think they should be open at 8 in the morning, like with residential, and I say close by 9. You got kids in that neighborhood that have to go to school, learn, and go to bed. They don't need to hear cars going in and out that they're not used to. They've been growing up all these time without all that noise. And 8 to 9 is plenty of time to sell what you're gonna sell. An hour at each end isn't gonna hurt you.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We are going to discuss that. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, Ms. Bergeron.
Elaine Bergeron on Auburnville Lane. I'm a member of the planning board. I did not see this particular, when it came to the planning board, it was one building, not 3 sections. Can I just ask what the size of each of the units are?
Yes, so the total building is 6,400 square feet.
Okay,
The dispensary and the quick serve restaurant are each 2,500 square feet.
2,500.
2,500, where the middle is 1,400 square feet.
So the canvas is gonna be on what side?
On the, as you're looking at the building, the right side, the Warren Ave
Warren
side.
Ave side.
Yes.
And the middle building is what you think might be an office?
So it's probably some sort of retail, some sort of
So
shop.
the restaurant, that's not supposed to be a restaurant, is gonna be next to where Christo's and the candy store are?
Yes, on that side.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. And before I'm going to go over the conditions that we imposed in the other places, but any other questions or thoughts come up from the discussion? Okay. Did you want?
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go through the. Well, let's talk about the hours of operation. As I said, the selectmen put in each of the 3 host community agreements that they signed with each of the 3 marijuana places that the hours were to be 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is that 7 days a week or just Monday
So
through
that
Saturday?
was what's authorized in the hours in the HCA. But I think when we spoke last time, we had agreed to close earlier on Sundays, right? And so and so we're still willing to do that.
Yeah. So
I don't remember what time it was.
What time would you open every day?
We probably wouldn't open until 8 a.m. at the earliest.
So if we said 8 o'clock, would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
8 a.m.
Till 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then closing at 9 on Sunday.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think. Well, we think we made it 8 to 8 on Sunday for 356 South Ave. I don't have the other. I don't know if I have the other Bedford Street one with me. I don't think I do, but I know at 356 South Ave, I've got in front of me. We made Sundays 8 to 8.
Can we ask for a late opening and 1 hour of late closing on Sunday?
I'm sorry.
9 to 9 instead of 8 to 8 on Sunday.
8 to 8.
8 to 8.
Well, you can open as late as you want. Stay open later.
I know. I think to me on Bedford Street, 356 South Ave was much more. I mean, people come in, for the amount of business they're going to get at 8 or 9 at night, isn't going to be much. People are going to be driving on Bedford Street. They're going to come in off Bedford Street. They're going to go back onto Bedford Street. You're really not, I don't think you're going to see much traffic on Warren from this, particularly at those hours. So I just feel as a drive-by place on Bedford Street, that if they want to be open to 9, that I think they ought to be able to do that. See what the other members of the board think, but like I say, I didn't bring with me I don't know what we did honestly at this point down at the other place, in case you don't know. So one of the other marijuana places we've approved is 356 South Ave, which is the old Regal shoe building with the antique stores. The other one is down on Bedford Street past Route 14.
605 is it?
305 Bedford Street. And so I don't, do you have it, Rich? Do you have it? You'll see if he has it. But I don't,
Given the general nature of
First of all, let's talk about Monday through Saturday. Let's start with that. Let's start with the easy. 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, Monday through Saturday.
8 to 10 Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
Well, I don't see any point to go to 10 o'clock.
Well, I know we've allowed till 10 o'clock for the other establishments.
The other establishment's not in a residential area.
This is on Bedford Street, sir.
It's right next to residential.
It's next to residential, but it's highway business.
25 feet from my window, I'm going to go to 10 o'clock every night.
There are other businesses on Bedford Street that are open that late. I don't see a reason to you know, if they had their if they were facing Warren Ave, I'd have a different feeling, but.
They are facing Warren
Well,
Ave.
the front,
They're coming out on Warren Ave. Let's go to my
the
window.
entrance to the building is on Bedford Street.
Correct, but as they're coming around the building, coming on Warren Ave, it's going right in my front door. Thank you very much.
If that's what they do, but I can't see why they would do that.
Because the cars are leaving, as they come around the corner, my front door's right there.
I don't think it's gonna be as many people.
I think that,
Have you ever
I think
gone down
people,
by Bottega?
No, I don't even know where it is.
It's the old bank in 123
All right.
Brockton. You can't get a parking spot. It's big.
all right, so what's being proposed, if it's all right with the board, is Monday through Saturday, 8 to 10, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And Sunday,
Sunday, I mean, 9 o'clock would be great for us.
so 8 until 9.
8 to 9.
And again,
Shave off an hour.
356 South Ave, we said 8 to 8. But again, I just don't think you get the traffic on South Ave that you do on Bedford Street. So
And in South Ave, they were opening up earlier.
they were
So.
going to open at 7 to catch the people going to commuter trains. Yeah. Which, good luck with that.
What do you say?
Sunday 8 to 9, and I realize we made it 8 in other spots, but again, I feel Bedford Street is
They're not gonna
a business street.
Yeah, so we'll just leave them.
Yeah, I mean, we're letting you stay open. If we let you stay open to 9, I suspect you will not find it's worth your while.
Decision. We just want to be able to have the hours.
Yeah, and I don't want you to have to come back to us and have a whole new hearing to change it for now. So, is that all right, 8 to 9 on
Yes.
Sunday?
Oh, sorry.
I know we made
I'm
it,
happy with that.
you want it to be 8
But
o'clock?
I'm only one, but
Well, let me ask you, you want it to be 8 o'clock close on Sunday, is that right?
8 to 8.
On Sunday. Again, I'll go with what the board, if there are others who feel that way, that's what we'll do. Anybody else?
I'm only one vote.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking if there's anyone else. All right, then I think the sense of the board is to make it 8 to 9 on Sunday. Again, whether it'll be worth doing, I have my doubts.
They're not gonna do any business, but we might,
Change your hours if it doesn't, have to be one.
All right, the second condition was, that was the first condition that we had, that we were imposing on the other places. Second one was security and safety provisions are subject to the approval of the police and fire departments, and those departments may require the applicant to update or revise those provisions if circumstances so require. The only reason we put that in there was the host community agreement didn't make it clear that if conditions change, the police and fire department could, require changes. So we put that in there. Now the next one, for 305 Bedford Street, the first one we approved, they actually suggested, and we put it in as a condition, that for the first 30 days, sales could only be sort of placed online and picked up, so you didn't have walk-in business. When it came to 356 South Ave, they said, well, look, we're probably not going to open before they do anyway. And the idea was that was the first, whoever's first, there's a little concern about what kind of volume of traffic there'll be. Let's sort of have a soft opening and just working out any kinks. So when it came to 356, we said, well, it's not as likely to be the first one opening, so here's the condition we put on 356. During the initial 15 calendar days after retail sales begin, sales are to be limited to the pickup of orders placed in advance, online or by telephone, and sales by appointment. If this is the third, if you're the second place to open, then I'd want to put the same condition on you as I did on 356 South Ave. If they're the third place to open, at this point, do we even need a restriction like this? What's the feeling of the board?
I'm pretty sure on September 25th, we had pretty much agreed to the 15-day.
Did we agree to the 15?
We had I know we talked about it, and I believe that it was like it was a happy medium that they were willing to accept 15 days with the online phone orders.
We have no problem with that. So if that's the way, we're not going to push back. I mean, frankly, nowadays, because there's so many open in the Commonwealth anyway, your first few months you have less people there than you do later on because people have to find you and they got to know you're there.
And
right?
you
It's
can't,
not like
and
the
you
first
can't,
five that were open
you can't advertise. So
yes, but so it's not like the first few that were open in the state people were flocking to because it was such a big deal. Now it's like oh, there's a dispensary there, maybe I'll try that next month. And so. Yeah, so we're fine with that provision. So 15 days, online, pre-order.
Okay,
order,
so same condition we have for 350.
No problem.
Okay. We had a requirement for 356 South Ave about, which we probably should have here. You'd want the employees parking in the rear of the building, not in the.
Yeah, we don't want them to take up the prime retail spots.
Exactly.
For sure.
So we'll say employees are to park on the rear of the building.
I can't hear too many people talking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we should have a requirement that employees are to park to the rear of the building. We have a condition, the applicant must be licensed and approved by the Cannabis Control Commission prior to commencing operation. That's to meet the requirement of our bylaws.
You guys want to become felons? We'll get the approvals.
Yeah. We had a condition for 356 South Ave that I think is probably not needed here. We had a condition, signs that would be posted inside the building informing customers that consumption of marijuana products in public spaces is forbidden by town bylaw, and that there is to be no loitering or use of marijuana products on the premises or the property, meaning the entire property. I mean, we could put that here. Our particular concern with 356 South Ave is the Hobart Pond conservation area was right next door. And we didn't want people buying and walking out, and we finally kind of compromised and put up signs to make sure the customers know.
Did we do that at the other?
We didn't do it at 305 Bedford Street because, here I don't think it's necessary here. That was a particular feature of 356 out there.
Yeah, both on Bedford Street, there's just so much wide open area.
Yeah, it's highway.
With Hobart, you had places like it's basically.
Yeah, we just didn't want them going into the park from South Ave, but I don't think that's an issue here. I agree. Okay. And then we require that the spaces be 10 by 20 feet, which they were not at that point at 356 South Ave, but these are all going to be 10 by 20.
Yes.
So that's not needed. So let's just talk, I want to put something in about the fencing, that there's to be a wooden or other opaque fence along Warren Ave in place of the chain link fence. And then along the rear, you might as well just say to reconstruct or replace the fence, because I think you're hearing it. You're going to have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
a lot easier to do it now than to do it later. So
yeah, I mean, our intention is if something was salvageable, we'd save it. But if this gentleman's telling us it's not, we're not going to go put that fence back up once a week when it falls down.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just put that in as a condition. Anything else? Any other change that's been made to the site plan as we've discussed that isn't already written down in the site plan? I think the fence was
Do they have to have approval from the fire chief before they can open?
Yes, for our certificate of occupancy.
We do a final.
Yeah.
In other words, they can't open until you approve it.
Correct.
Is it the same for the police department?
The occupancy is myself and you.
Yeah.
The occupancy would be.
The police is security.
Yeah.
If that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, as a practical matter, the police are going to come in, and that's probably part of your agreement with the host community agreement to have.
Yeah, we'll have to send them our security plans as we get closer. The Cannabis Control Commission will check with your police chief to make sure that they've reviewed our security plans. And the CCC really, that's all they look at is security. They don't really have anybody else that looks at anything else when they come and review these places other than security. So that is going to be the most secure place other than the other 2 dispensaries in Whitman.
And so, I mean, the fire department and building department approvals are because of fire code and building code.
And during construction, right, before we close everything in, they're going to do the rough-in inspections on electrical, plumbing,
Right,
all that
which,
stuff too. Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
We don't even need to put that in our
Yeah.
decision.
I'm going to say it will be thoroughly inspected. Yeah.
Is there a way for the fire department to get into your building?
Yeah, we'll have a Knox box on the outside, so they'll be able to enter the building anytime they want.
Okay. I just want to make sure of that, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the board? Anything else from members of the public? Yes,
So
ma'am.
when do we anticipate
Oh.
this building being
Oh, and we
demolished?
should also talk about hours of construction. But yeah, what do you anticipate is the schedule for the construction?
I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm spitballing, but a project like this, with the site work we have to do, new building, we're 12 months in. You know, maybe we push and get a little bit more than that.
What, I didn't hear.
It will be a year,
Probably about a year.
I meant the demolition, when will that?
As soon as we can pull permits, right? Is there anything else we're waiting for from the state to be able to start the site work?
No, unless there's some other issue with MassDOT or something. No, we're good.
No, I think we're good with MassDOT, so I think this time of year, we'll have to gauge it against winter conditions, right? Because we don't want to mobilize a crew, just have them get snowed out, have them leave the site and come back. So if we were to get in a normally fortunate winter like we had last year, we could start as soon as we are able to pull a demo permit. We always have to have that conversation internally. If not, if we don't begin before the deep freeze and the snow, we rest assured we will be as soon as it clears out.
Now, are you going to be able to start construction, everything, before you have your permits for the Cannabis Control Commission?
Yeah, so there's this process called architectural review where they like to look at your architectural plans, largely for security, but we can pretty much start construction whenever we want because we have our provisional license, even without it. I mean, you know, an owner can do whatever they want.
Well, that's it.
Right? Yeah, so
put up a building anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They'll have to, if it doesn't satisfy them, particularly security-wise, you'll have to fix a wall or do whatever. But yeah, we can do construction irrespective of them. You know, although they do like you to do art review first, really, you know, the owner does what they want to do.
Yeah. And the question was raised about pest control. Can you address that during construction?
Yeah, it's part of the checklist. When they come in for the demo permit, they're gonna have to hire somebody to do pest control out there. It's also through Board of Health.
Okay. And yes, ma'am.
I really just wanted to know too, because we've had so much jackhammering when they did Route 18 for 2 years, and it really was horrible. What will their time be able to be am I saying that right? To work?
Oh, yeah, hours of construction.
18 was.
So it shouldn't be starting before 7.
They were like starting at 6.
7 to 7, I think is what the typical.
That's just a quarter.
All right, so
Nothing on Sunday, correct?
let's put that. I think we've put that in.
Route 18 was out there at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 6 in the morning, jackhammering for 2 years. It was like.
Rules do not apply to the state.
Yeah, even with essentially our windows closed, it was horrible.
Yeah, they ignore. So no construction on Sunday? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, and Saturday, what?
8 to 5?
8 to 5 on Saturday, 7 to 7.
Typically we do 7 to 7, 8 to 5.
That's what we typically.
Not on Sunday.
Yeah. How long will it take you to? I'm imagining the loudest part of this will be knocking down and clearing the site more than even the construction. How long will that process take once you start?
Realistically, once everything's disconnected, that's no more than a month to get that out of there. That includes foundation. It obviously depends on the size of the crew who does the site work and things like that. But we put a good crew on this. That's a couple weeks.
And I mean, but like taking up all the pavement in the parking lot, that could.
Yeah. The good thing about the pavement is, right, it's flexible. It's not, you're not jackhammering. You cut a line and then you pick it out with the excavator.
Okay.
So it's not silent, but it's not as annoying as the constant jackhammer.
So probably a month or two to demolish what's there, and then longer to construct.
And when is Mr. Rosen taking his trailer out of it that the kids all hang around
Some
in?
kind of foundation or cellar?
Just a slab. Just a slab.
Just a slab?
Yep, slab on grade.
But you need a 4 foot.
You need a 4 foot frost wall, yes. Yes, but that's it.
All right.
If I'm sleeping, I'll put a sign out.
Do not disturb.
I have the summers up.
All right.
I don't mind getting up at 7, I guess.
Anything else? All right, so at this point, anything else, Bob? Okay. Anything you want? Okay. All right, what did we decide on the hours of operation?
We decided Monday through Saturday 8 to 10, Sunday 8 through 9.
Okay.
With one dissenting.
Then I gotta vote no for the whole thing.
Yeah, it's up to you.
I hope you don't.
That's the most important thing to me, the hour.
Again, I just state for the record, why I'm differentiating this from South Ave, because South Ave really is surrounded by, it's really set in the residential area, and frankly, it's not highway business, it's not.
It's a recreation area.
Yeah, this is highway businesses. I mean, what hours are the, liquor store open, and what hours are the fast food joints open? To me, that's not unreasonable. All right, so anything else, Mr. King?
Yeah, did you want to put in there about no alcohol?
Oh, yeah, well, first, we want to note that it's been presented to the board that there would be no drive-through fast food, no drive-through window, and that any food operation is not to have an alcohol license. Okay?
No alcohol.
No alcohol.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Teeman. All right, anything else? Then I'm going to close the hearing. I'll entertain a motion with the conditions we stated. So it's site plan approval, special permit for the marijuana operation, and the variances that have been cited. I'll go back and list them all, but particularly the frontage, the setback requirements because of it being on Bedford Street and also being a corner lot. Those and the rear buffer needs a variance there. Right.
And the front.
And the front landscaping buffer requirement. Do I have a move by Mr. Keeman? Is there a second?
No, second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unanimous.
Fantastic. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody from the neighborhood for your input. And I hope you feel it made a difference in what you came up with at the end.
I'm sorry?
I hope you feel it made a difference. You got rid of driving.
Oh, yeah. The car wash is the real problem. The car wash is the problem. Jimmy's right on that. The car wash is awful.
All I can suggest is going to the
It's not
ought to be a
the guy used to have somebody, he used to hire somebody that monitored the cars and watched them and did this, and he had the towels out there, and you know what? He just doesn't, maybe he should be neglected for not watching his property.
Yeah, I hope when the other one opens, it takes away a lot.
Well, that's what Bruce Martin had told me that, but.
Because if I wanted to go get my car washed, I'd much rather go to a place where I don't have to park.
Well, I don't mind going to that car wash here and there, but I don't like the traffic of it, and I don't cause the traffic there. But that lady literally had to go around the car wash, and people over this way, and the curb comes out this way. I blew a heavy-duty Jeep tire on that, and last week I ripped my brand new car's tire.
There's something about highway construction out there. Love putting these curves.
I
blew out a tire.
And this lady in a Crown Victoria came around on 2 wheels. I'm like, oh, and then she saw the car.
It's like if you don't live there, you don't know that there's that bumper.
He needs to be there monitoring his car wash, and maybe we need to talk to someone in the town to tell them that he needs to be there and hire somebody when it's warm out, a certain temperature every day. He needs somebody there.
You can ask them. I don't know what control, but I don't know how much control the building inspector has because I don't know if he's violating any zoning. but, the select, if they had this, if you told the selectmen and the police, what the busiest hours were, which I suppose you'd say first warm day in spring. You get a police to sit out there for an hour.
I mean, like I said, it's the car dealers bringing their cars. I couldn't believe they were next to my neighbors today. I'm like, where's that guy out there? I'd be pissed if he was sitting in front of my house outside cleaning his car.
But I thought the car dealers would have their own way of washing their cars. Anyway, what I was going to say to you, what's your name again?
Roberta.
Yeah. So, just so you know, if they never come in for marijuana, if they just want to put a drive-through operate, a Burger King or Whitman, we wouldn't be able to stop them because it's allowed by right. It doesn't need a special permit. So effectively, we use the marijuana operation as leverage to prevent having a drive-through.
Another drive-through.
Yeah. So you did have an impact by coming in and making,
a
noise
nice
about
Chinese
that.
food restaurant like that.
That's what I was thinking.
What happened to South China?
We don't
We don't have one anymore.
No.
And I don't know what could be worse with headlights leaving Jamie's from Jimmy. Headlights leaving.
Frankly, I don't know who's ever going to be parking out back.
I don't think it's going to be like this.
Everybody's going to park. I just, when you had a sit-down restaurant, you needed all
I heard when it was Compton's, they were parked all the way down the street. I didn't live there then.
This parking is probably going to be empty 95%
Listen,
of the time.
5:30 in the morning comes quick for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, I'm going to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor?